Welcome to Dietless Living 360 Degrees, Overcoming Weight Loss Obstacles with me, your host, Katie Gordon. As a weight loss coach, I help my clients to overcome their weight loss obstacles so they can lose weight their way and lose it for life. Yet the old saying that it takes a village to raise a child is also applicable to our health and weight loss goals, because not all the obstacles we have are just in our health. We have obstacles that are in other areas of our life that are impacting our health. We have obstacles in our relationships, finances, business, careers, work, families, in our home environment. And sometimes we just have injuries or other more complex health issues that are impacting our weight and our health. And whilst how to overcome weight loss obstacles in 6 simple steps shows you how to create and enjoy and maintain your healthy habits in those challenging times, we also need professionals to help us resolve those obstacles. And with that in mind, Dietless Living 360 Degrees brings in other professionals to help you overcome those obstacles. And today we have Lindsey Legg. And I tell you, Lindsey is one of the most mighty women that I know. She runs 3 businesses. Spot Graphics, which is a graphic design and social media company. She also created the Stay Connected digital magazine, and Dub Days, a VW camper van hire company. Can you believe it? 3 very diverse businesses. She also juggles work and fitness around her 3 children who are 11, 10, and 3. And Lindsey has always been a high achiever, not only in her career, but in sports, and consequently has always put a little bit too much pressure on herself. However, she says of herself that she couldn't just simply compete for fun. She has to push herself to be the very best that she can be. She was a 400-meter hurdler and became the town and country champion. She competed in national leagues and for southwest of England. But just as she achieved the English qualifying standard for triple jump, she unfortunately broke her ankle and had to actually adapt her sport and went on to win the Bournemouth Triathlon, as you do. And I mean, this woman is just unbelievable. She also trained with the ladies Muay Thai world champion Cherie Halliday, and after 8 years and a stint in Thailand training camp, she competed at interclubs and did her first white collar boxing match, which she also won. Lindsey had 3 professional fights lined up, but had to cancel when she fell pregnant with her son. She always strives to achieve and will never stop competing in sport or career. Lindsey has helped her get through her life, her career. It helps her to relax when the stresses of work take over. And sport has just been her rock, especially when 2 of her marriages failed. And now she has a degenerative disc in her back. So she unfortunately had to give up her Muay Thai. Do I say that right?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai?
Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. Sorry, Muay Thai. That's a drink, isn't it?
Muay Thai, yeah, it's quite different.
Muay Thai.
I do like them both. It's fine.
So unfortunately, she has had to give up the Muay Thai, and over the last couple of years, she has just been working herself at her 3 businesses and still achieving everything at such a high level. So welcome to the show, my mighty friend Lindsey. It's so great having you here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you are just like, I've been so excited that you're coming onto the show. So could you tell us a little bit about what you do and the main way that you help your clients in whichever one of your businesses you want to talk about, or maybe all 3?
Okay, well, I'll sort of take you through a little bit of my journey, I guess. I spent 20 years as a graphic designer, and where it kind of was mainly print before, and in magazines. At one stage, I had 5 magazines of British Airways. Things changed due to COVID, so I sort of retrained, and I got much more into the digital world. So I did the Stay Connected digital magazine, and I wanted to sort of help other businesses, so I can kind of help them with their branding, so anything from logos to plasma screens, or even things like all the underground and overground posters in London. Used to do all the advertising for there, and newspaper ads, and so any kind of design really I help people with, and as a natural progression with the magazine background, that's why I kind of started digital magazine, where people had to, in COVID, go from being fully print based to a massive shift towards digital. People are starting to do online videos. Facebook and YouTube don't have enough content, so they tend to push out videos a lot more than any other kind of static content as well. So I thought, well, there's something here if I can put all the videos, and make them lower cost for people into a magazine, turn it into an app so that people can then, have notifications if they've got an offer on, or it makes it just a lot more affordable for the local businesses or the startups. I think where I really wanted to kind of position myself was helping the smaller people that didn't have massive budgets, targeting maybe startup businesses or ones that kind of need a little bit of help, didn't really know where to turn with their marketing. So kind of through my own knowledge of the Stay Connected Digital, I had to promote that through social media. So I sort of built up the following to 60,000 in the first 6 months of COVID. And I thought, well, this is going to be something that's really going to help other people. If I can do it, I wanted to teach people how to do it. So the kind of training side of it also comes into play, where I can help people to do their own branding and to do their own social media and Facebook ads. I think I realized over the last 2 years how much I actually enjoy helping people and seeing other people achieve. I think that gives me a lot more pleasure than actually just doing the work for them, if I'm honest.
Yeah. And your creative work is amazing. I've seen some of the things you've produced on not Instagram, on LinkedIn. You just have such an amazing creative mind. I've known quite a lot of creative people. I've never met anybody as creative you in so many ways. You play guitar. What else? What are the other things that I've seen you do? Do you play piano?
I can play a little bit of piano. I'm not going to profess to being particularly great at it, but I love singing. I play the guitar. I don't know, I get my hands at so many different things, and my husband kind of just rolls his eyes sometimes because I've been such a creative. I've always been either sport or art, and I'm fascinated with business as well. I've sort of just have these crazy ideas, and I don't know, I have my kids out there just doing things like fluid pouring onto an art canvas, just randomly, and my husband's there going, the grass. But I just find it exciting and fascinating, things that kind of really inspire you. So I kind of go out and look for ideas, and I think if you're not excited by something, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
I love doing things like portraits of people. I started doing pet portraits, where I sort of did the art college side and love my fine art. I ended up sort of putting that into the computers, so I can do the graphic side of it as well. And then I was like, well, actually, how can we push this to really interested in how technology works, which is why I kind of got into all the apps. And when creating a digital magazine, I wanted to do something that no one has done before, and probably I'm very quite nerdy actually. I kind of really like to find out things. I love statistics, and when it comes to all the Facebook analysis of how we can improve sales by doing this and this. It's no, I do love it. There's all sorts of things that I'd like to
You're
do.
not a generalist, right? You dive in deep into everything that you do. Like some people are a generalist, they like to know a lot of things, but they don't know a lot about each thing. They like know as what you call a generalist, but you're like a specialist in a bazillion things.
I know, and this is why it's very difficult sometimes when people say, what do you do? And I don't even think my family know what I do. So social media has really opened it up for me to kind of showcase little bits of what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working with an amazing lady called Mina Yatim, who she wanted to create a legging sportswear brand.
Oh, I've seen those on LinkedIn too. Yes.
Yeah, so I've been helping her. We right from the start of helping her set up the business, building a Shopify website, and just helping her build the brand. And she had come up with this little pencil drawing. I would then create it in Illustrator. I get asked to do such random things, and she said, I want leopard print. I want it really to be bold and really to kind of people to be proud of their bodies instead of hiding away in black all the time.
Yes.
And I said, I love it so much that you want to give such a positive spin on this, be brave, be bold, and be beautiful, really just
stand
get out there and stand out. Don't hide away. It doesn't matter what size you are, you're all beautiful. So I've really helped her sort of build up the brand, and she's doing really well, and we sort of catch up all the time. Every week we try and have a little run together as well, so we kind of run and talk at the same time about business.
Brainstorming on the run.
Yeah. I even get asked to do random things like so I've obviously worked with some of the bigger brands like Sunseeker and like Jelly Beans, doing little packaging for the little nail varnishes and stuff like that. L'Oreal. There's loads of stuff I've done like that, but then I'll have these random I remember the strangest thing I ever got asked to do was when what's it William and Kate got married. Prince William and Kate got married, and that was it. It was a souvenir for a cat tin, and I had to draw a cartoon version of them as cats for this particular cat food tin. Yeah. It was hilarious. I never know what I'm going to get each week. This week I'm working with TGI Fridays, and then I've got I've ranged from sort of like bigger brands to suddenly just little random jobs. So I love it because it's always exciting, and every day is completely different.
And I think that's what you thrive on, isn't it? You love that variety. You're just reading your bio, there's just never a dull moment in the life of Lindsey Legg.
Yeah, I'm sure my husband would say he'd love it if I could just calm down. He said, I don't think I can keep up with you.
Who you were if you will calm down. You are just you.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I do have time to think, I'm always planning the next thing. So
yeah,
I just can't stay still. I think that's me. I'm just one of those people that has to be out and just planning and doing something new. Sometimes I just need to focus a bit more. Probably.
When you have a brain that works that way, that has so many ideas and is so creative, it just must be hard. I remember Ernest Hemingway quote, one of my favorite quotes of his is that ideas are like rabbits. You've got to catch them when they're there or they're gone. And so if you've got a brain that is just effervescent with ideas, you constantly be going, I've got to catch it. So it's wonderful. It's probably a gift and a burden at the same time, perhaps, or maybe it's just a complete gift.
Yeah, well, I'm going with the gift, I guess. My husband might say it's the burden, I guess, but I've got another, like, yeah, I won't go into that today, but I've got another idea for a business, and I'm really excited about it because it involves sport as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's yeah, something that's kind of early stages, so we'll have to catch up about that another time.
We will indeed. And I'm sure we'll have a million other things to catch up on at the same time. So,
Yeah.
Lindsey, thank you for sharing all of that. And as you know, one of the questions I like to ask my guests is, what is one of the greatest hardships that you've ever had to overcome? And how did you do it? Like, how did you build your resilience? How did you manage yourself mentally, emotionally, and or physically through that hardship?
The hardship that I've had, I guess, would that be more personally, or would that be
Anywhere? And some people identify more with a challenge or an obstacle, not necessarily a hardship, but
I guess one of my sort of hardships more recently has been sort of the loss of, I've lost all 5 British Airways magazines. So financially, that was a big loss. And I had to sort of build the business up from sort of scratch again, in a way, which is where Stay Connected Digital magazine came out. But at the same time, my mum had actually, no, within the space of a month, my son had sepsis, so he's in hospital for a week, and then 2 weeks later my mum had 2 cardiac arrests, stroke, and was in a coma, and my dad has got dementia and Alzheimer's. So I was suddenly in that position where everything was like this. I was trying to focus on getting the business back, and some of the clients that I did have within that month, where I was just in hospital almost for that, every day.
yeah.
That was a difficult one, because then I had to sort of juggle and trying to keep clients, and I think I lost a couple during that time, just because I couldn't physically do everything. Because also then I was, having to then find new childcare, because obviously parents are so fantastic with helping with the children. All of a sudden, it's not just parents down; it's what do I do with 3 children?
Yeah, knock-on effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I mean it's hard enough, I think, having 3 children as it is, without sort of the stresses of thinking, like, oh God, where do they have to be? And they're all at different places. We've got one at nursery and then the other 2 at different schools. So I'm constantly pinging around all over the place, trying to make sure that I be as good a mum for them.
Yeah.
And then you have that inner battle with yourself, as, am I spending enough time with them? Am I spending enough time with my husband or my clients? And quite often you tend to have a win of one thing and then the other one drops. You can't sort of keep all the balls in the air, really, if you're juggling everything.
You would have had all the emotional turmoil of your mum being in a coma, your son, was it your eldest son or your baby?
I've got it's a 3-year-old boy, so he was 2 at the time. So yeah, he's very poorly with sepsis, and yeah, we nearly lost him actually that week. It was a very difficult time. So all of a sudden it just felt like everything that month had suddenly gone, but everyone kind of has these instances in their lives where everything just suddenly goes wrong all of a sudden, and you think, how do you deal with it? You can't do the normal things you used to do. I was talking about all the sport that I love doing. You can't do the sport. At the same time, I'd just been diagnosed also with an autoimmune disease. So I've got lupus SLA.
Right.
So I was having that challenge where, my joints were in pain. I was having pins and needles everywhere. And then getting sort of help for that. And then I'm on prescription now for the rest of my life. But that keeps it at bay. But there's so many different challenges that suddenly come, and it's a bit unfortunate if they all come at the same time. But it's like buses, isn't it?
Well, and it is hard to juggle all of that, because ultimately you run on adrenaline. You put your emotions aside because they don't have a place in getting the everything done that you have to get done. And yet, you've got a lot of emotion, your son and your mom, and just, stress makes us emotional anyway. And it is hard to juggle all of those things, keep the smile on our face for those that, your clients and everything. So
yeah,
I remember when you went through all of that, and like, I'm on the other side of the world from you, and it was like I was not so much worried for you, as in I was caring for you, like my heart was going out to you, because it was like, oh, holy crap, how many more things can this poor woman have?
Yeah.
But I think you must have applied yourself, and that stamina that gets you through all of your sport, and to be at that high achieving level. And I think that's what I would like to, if you're okay with it, dig around in and find some of that, whatever that is, because that's what, not everybody has that. And I think we don't have it because we don't, it's like a skill. Some people are born with it. I think you were obviously born with that skill. But for others, we learn that skill from others. It's like you can learn a creative talent, and you learn the alphabet and everything. So if we could just maybe, because I don't know, do you understand what that is about you that drives yourself, or do I need to kind of help you find it?
Do you know what? I've often thought this, because there's not an awful lot of people that I meet that are quite so driven, I guess. I know my mum has been an amazing mum, and I've sort of thought about, where does it come from? Does it come from parents? So my mum, I would say, has been always 100% there for us and supportive and fantastic mum, but not particularly career orientated. So she doesn't quite understand where it comes from, I think. And she sometimes rolls her eyes because she's, oh, you're always just too busy. And she was a full-time mum for us. And there's 3 of us as well. And then I suppose I'm kind of like opposite to her, but my dad's always been very driven. He would take me out on runs when I was sort of 13, 14, and he'd say, right, we're going to see this lamppost, we've got to sprint for it. And you don't stop until you've reached that. And then he would say to me, are you just going to give up? So I think a lot of that mindset, I feel, comes from my dad always pushing me. And sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough because he had high expectations. So it would make me want to, work, and I want to please, I guess. Yeah. So if you have parents that constantly say you're amazing, you're just going to think you're amazing by just sat down doing nothing. But if you have someone that actually does make you, it's not, if it's
do more, you can do more.
Yeah, like if I did painting, and my mum just said, that's amazing, I absolutely love it. My dad looked at it and he went, I think the horizon's off. So, and then he was right, but it made me look and be much more critical at myself. And although that can be sometimes a negative thing if you criticize yourself too much, but it does make you have that specific detail, like almost like an OCD, I would say, of it has to be, they used to call me line up Linds at work. Everything has to be lined, it has to be ordered, and
so such a hectic life, so I imagine order has to be a part of that for you to be able to do the multiple things that you do.
It was very hectic life, actually, because my nan lived with us, and there was 6 of us in the house, but I was a middle child, so I guess in a way I had a bit more freedom. So we were, you can't really do it so much anymore, but we were constantly out and about doing things. I used to be sat there, probably a weird child sometimes, I'd spend 6 hours drawing a bush in the garden. I'd have my pad, take my pens out, and I set myself a different task, because mum was very busy with my nan from she moved in with us. She had senile dementia actually, and she lived with us about 10 years. So I kind of almost felt like I lost my mum a bit from the age of about, I don't know, I'll probably say about 10 or 11.
I love that you said you would go out into the garden and draw for 6 hours. Like,
Yeah.
what a wonderful thing to do. I can't draw for quids. I can draw a stick man if I'm lucky. So you must have had your creative talent for your whole life. It's just there.
Yeah, well, I literally would spend my days drawing. I remember having Michael Jackson pictures, posters on the wall. So I would sit there and draw the posters. And then I'd just find something interesting around the house. I had a little book that I probably still got it somewhere actually. So I'd draw, if my brother was watching telly, I'd draw him, or I'd draw a little teddy, or and then I started getting a bit more into, getting the shading right. So I'd have a 30 centimetre square that I would kind of place little sticks around in a bush.
Yeah.
And then I'd say, right, I'm going to do it exactly to scale, and sit there for 6 hours just drawing this one bush and every tiny little detail.
Wow.
Yeah, I just found it amazing how you can kind of recreate something like exactly from real life onto the paper. And I sort of had all these ideas, nature versus unnatural, and I started getting different ideas I wanted to create. So I started doing all these random projects. Like when I was 5, actually, I started making shoes out of cereal boxes randomly.
Wow.
And yeah, like all the time I had a whole collection of shoes made out of cereal boxes with heels and all sorts. I think my mum would just kind of leave us to it, and we I think that's where it's a bit of a shame these days, where kids have got so much sort of, they've got the phones and laptops and, yeah, when I was young, I had the Spectrum 48K, so we used to play things like Chucky Egg and all these a few little games. But a lot of the time, because there were 3 of us, you'd sort of be there twiddling your thumbs thinking, I have to be creative, I have to make projects for myself. And then I decided I did layers of cardboard, and I wanted to make a face that looked like it was coming out, but it was actually going in, so like an optical illusion, which was about the size of me in the end. And then I kind of layered it up, and then painted it with acrylics, and it's just a random little project I had, but it was a bit weird, but I just
creativity is unusual. I wouldn't say weird, just unusual, right? Because your brain's going, I wonder what I can make with this. You get a vision, and
I like challenging myself probably more than anything, I guess. It's kind of, I like challenging my own brain.
Yeah.
So I'm my own competitor, because I'm like, well, I've done that. Is that good enough? No, maybe we need to do something further. How can we push this to the point where no one else has done this before? And I kind of have to do something a bit better. And I remember, actually, it's quite funny, when I was 9, I found these amazing, I went to this craft fair, and I found this amazing lady that used to create things out of Fimo. They're sort of little blocks. So I was, it must have been about 8 or 9, and then I decided I could make 4 little pigs out of a block of Fimo. So I started selling them for £1 each, but the block of Fimo cost me £1, so I was making £3 each time. And I started having my salespeople that my friends at school started selling them for me. So I kind of started this business at school.
At 9.
At 9, and I had all these people working for me. And then my teacher, I think one of them broke, and I made a mistake of saying, well, I tell you what, rather than give you your money back, I think I said, well, I tell you what I'll do, I'll give you the next one for half price instead. And he told his mum, and the mum phoned up the school, so my teacher had to phone my mum and say that we had to shut down my business in school.
you little entrepreneur. No wonder you got 3 businesses and another one in the wind going.
Oh, it was funny. My dad loves telling that story.
Well, this is what I love about you, right? Because to you, you kind of seem to think that maybe you're in the weird realm. You've used that word a few times, but you kind of refer to some of your magnificent creations as maybe it was a bit weird, but I think it's just, you're like a Leonardo da Vinci. Look at the 50 million things that man was interested in and created and painted and made. And, I think some people just have this, I don't know.
I've never been likened to Leonardo da Vinci, which is thank you. That's a huge compliment. But yeah, it's when I've sort of talked to my friends, I find all of them have a really interesting thing about them. And yeah, I haven't found many people that are kind of completely creative and have the drive and I suppose the inclination to then sort of chase a dream, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love it when I do.
Because on the opposite side of that is your sport and the Muay Thai, like that seems like the opposite of creativity, although I'm sure it's not. I guess you see the creativity in it. What is it that you love about that?
I would say with probably what ties it all together would be the challenge. I really love the challenge, and I like to push myself to be the best of what I can do. So whether it's creative, it's pushing myself to do and create the best visual thing. When it comes to the sports, I like to know and I love to learn. Yeah. So with the Muay Thai, it was something I found interesting, and I loved things like Karate Kid when I was a youngster and all the fighting films, and having 2 brothers, it was more into the sport. My dad used to take us to play rugby, so I ended up playing rugby for Bournemouth Ladies for 2 years as well. I don't think I mentioned that one actually, but yeah, it was I think it's just the challenge of sort of pushing myself to do something that scares me sometimes. Bit like I'd split up from my my ex-husband, and I thought, I took up Muay Thai thinking, I needed to punch something, which helped with the stresses of divorce and bad relationships. And then it was also a challenge for my mind, because I was it was learning a new skill. It was learning how to defend yourself, how to attack, how to do your kicks, spinning elbows, and so it was really cool stuff.
There is strategy in it, isn't it? It's like, sorry? There's a lot of strategy that you have to learn.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's really clever. And when you watch even the white collar boxing matches, which is what I went to as a tester, really, to do that, to see if then I could use all 4 limbs, because with boxing I was thinking you're thinking about your 2 fists, so maybe it would be easier, but it was completely different. And I watch all the boxing matches now and absolute hats off, because you have to be so clever to be thinking a few moves ahead, a bit like a chess game, really. It's all about a strategy of where you're going to be, where your body position is, what their move's going to be, and kind of second guessing what they're going to be doing next. So that's the challenge that I found was really interesting. And stepping out into a ring was definitely by far the scariest thing I've ever done. And I brought my family along, and they hated it, as you would. But I remember at one point they cracked my nose. There was blood poured out across all of the audience, and as I walked around afterwards, I was saying, "Oh, where's that water come from?" They're like, "No, that's your blood from the match."
You said, did you have your kids then?
I had my 2 daughters from a previous marriage, and then I fell pregnant with Jax just after that match. So that was when I was going to go on to do, I had a fight lined up in Jersey, and another couple as well, a professional fights for Muay Thai, because I just, my strength is in my kicks. So I really wanted to sort of explore where I could go with that, and to see, you know, if I wanted to really take it far. And I just think it's inspirational when I see other people that really, you know, are committed and do something really, really well. I completely have my hats off. My friend Cherie, when I met her, she was a European Muay Thai champion.
Yeah.
And then I watched her and took her to a weigh-in to become world champion.
Oh, wow. That's
And
amazing.
it was just, you know, she's just a normal, I met her in the park. She was nannying two twins. And it's just incredible. Sometimes you meet the most random people. You could be standing next to them in a bus stop or something. And I just find people in general quite fascinating as well.
Absolutely. So with the Muay Thai, do you think you'll go back to that at some point, or is it just be on to the next?
I may have to change. I've got 3 degenerative discs in my back now. So one completely popped out. I kicked a pad, a wall-mounted pad, and it kind of popped out. So for the last year, I've been trying to get back, but now I'm 42 now, and I'm thinking I may need to have something that's not so much impact on my back.
Yeah.
I'm building up my running again, and I'm also thinking I've been doing Muay Thai for 8 years, so maybe I need to have a new challenge. You know, there's certain things. I've done a half marathon. I haven't done a full marathon yet. So there's certain things like that I want to try and sort of challenge myself to do. I've never done something like the 3 Peaks challenge, or, you know, anything a bit random. So maybe I just need to try something new that's not going to be so impactful on my back, because the kicking constantly, I think is not helping. So you do have to listen to your body as well.
There's a good book I listened to on Audible called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, who is a man I'd never heard of before. Yet he's a bit of a machine like yourself. Also, he's been a Navy SEAL, and then, you know, an ultra athlete doing lots of ultra marathons, and just, it's an amazing read or listen. And the reason I've brought it up is because he gets to his 40s and then he gets sort of taken down with a mysterious illness where he basically becomes bedridden, and he kind of thinks he's going to die. And what ends up being the solution for him is he has a memory of somebody from his Navy SEAL days, who came in and was trying to teach them all to do stretching. He's like, stretching, go away, go away. And then some part recesses of his brain says, you know, well, he's in this unwell state. Stretching, I think there's probably something in that. And it was actually doing all the stretching. He ended up, you know, stretching for hours and hours on end, because it was all the tightness of all the muscles from so much, you know, strenuous exercise that was wreaking havoc with his body. So perhaps your way forward, maybe read that book too and get something from it. But maybe there's something in the stretching that will allow you to continue with some of the exciting sports that you've been doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm always up for doing that, because I think stopping is probably the worst thing I could do. I think you just got to keep in motion without sort of causing extra damage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been talking to a local kickboxing instructor, and he said I can go for my black belt in kickboxing. So because it's so similar to Muay Thai, I can just kind of learn the differences, and then he'd start me on the brown belt because of my experience, so then I could sort of work up to black belt, and I wouldn't have to necessarily do the full-on, you know, spinning donkey kicks, stuff like that. So I'm quite tempted to go back and to do that. I'd just be a bit nervous about sparring if I accidentally twisted in the wrong way. And yeah, but yeah, definitely there's always going to be some challenge.
You'll work it out. And I kind of feel my next couple of questions that I ask people are almost redundant when talking to you, because like one of the question I often ask is, what's the biggest risk you've ever taken and why? And feel free to answer this. However, in my mind, I'm going, God, you've done so many things that others would call risk, but to you, it's just Lindsey.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the thing. When you sent me some questions, I was thinking there's quite a lot of risks I take. I guess, investing so much time and effort and money into Stay Connected Digital Magazine. That was a big risk. Also, I've actually had two failed marriages now. I wouldn't say, well, I suppose they are failed because they didn't carry on, but I think the risk was also leaving with two really small children at the time. And people say to me, I don't know how you could do that. I don't know how you can leave. And it was like, well, I don't know how I could have stayed there. Yeah. So for me, it was a necessity, not should I, it could be a bit risky. It was more risky staying there than to go. So I mean, starting up on my own, having my own business and two children, they were 2 and 4 at the time. So that was a really difficult time, and that was risky. A lot of people, I think, stay in relationships as well when they shouldn't. Yeah. So many people I know, just stayed in there for years and years and years. And I've always thought, if you're not happy, get out, and live your life. You have one life to live. You need to make the most of it. And I think that's where my positivity has kind of stayed. I did get taken to court. I had a horrendous court battle to get my life back and to be able to move home again. And that's still going on and is still a very difficult part of my life at the moment, but I always stay positive and think I'm living my best life, and it's not at the detriment of other people. I feel that if I'm happier, then my children will be happier, and it's about getting that balance right, and making the most out of life. You see people getting older and you just think, I remember helping my mum look after people in nursing homes. There was a lady that was turning 100, and I just really, my heart, really felt for her. I was only about 16, and it just made me think, all these things that you can't do when you're that age. You need to be doing stuff now. Don't be scared to take that risk. Go fully, and what's the worst that can happen?
But you're right, you might get to 100, and hopefully there've been 100 good years. I was saying to somebody, another interview that I was on, and I also worked at an aged care place, although I was a horticulturist there, but it was looking at them and going, some of them were only in their late 60s, and they're in an aged care hostel, and it's like, is that what's up ahead for me? And there I was in my 30s and thinking, oh gosh, for some reason in my mind, I'd always had this thing, I'll probably never live past 55 anyway. And then looking at them and going, yeah, but what if I do? What am I going to do with those bonus years? Is that how I want to be? They're kind of
yeah.
No.
There are so many challenges, and I remember when I turned 30, I was my ex-husband now was saying things like, you shouldn't be wearing things like that at your age, you shouldn't be doing this, and you should, it was so sort of negative. And I started, after just having children, you feel quite low on yourself anyway, don't you? And you start thinking, I started thinking, oh, my sporting career's over, I just need to focus, and you put all your focus into your kids and not on yourself. And then sometimes it takes something like that to listen to somebody else that says, this old lady had said to me, I wish I'd have left my husband many years before. And then it kind of made me think, wow, I don't want to be that lady in the nursing home that sits there and regrets my life. You know, that's really the worst thing you could do. So that's when I started the Muay Thai. I started getting my figure back. I started, you know, getting back my life, and, you know, just being me again. And that was huge. And then since then, you know, I've done so many amazing things.
And you
You know,
have.
now I'm 42. So I think, you know, at any age you could start something and be the best you can be. So yeah, I just think
there's no limits, is there really? The limit is in our mind.
Absolutely. I mean, I mentioned about when my mum had this cardiac arrest, and the kind of person that she is, she was in she just come out of the coma, and she was black and blue. Her ribs were broken from being kind of when she'd been airlifted in, and she got whispered to me because my dad was trying to talk and we couldn't understand what he was saying, and it was just one of those days. And my mum turned around and she said to me, just remember, stay positive. And I thought, you know what, that little thing will stay with me forever, because as long as you stay positive and you always look at the good things and not dwell on the negatives, I think that's the way that you should live your life. It's too easy. And now my two eldest girls, they're at 10, 11 and 10. They're now at the age where I was starting to doubt myself, and you know, it's one of those times where it's very difficult for, you know, males and females really sort of growing up, and it's now seeing them and saying to them, you know, when negative thought comes into your mind, you have to just push it out almost like a person, you know, and
evict it.
What's that?
You have to evict it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, get out, and then just focus on all the good things, not all those little gremlins in your head. You have to kind of really focus on the nice ones and start actually believing the nice things, because when people say negative comments about you as well, you will take one of those comments and you ignore the 20 other compliments that people...
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's quite interesting kind of seeing my daughters grow up and kind of trying to instill the values that my parents, I guess, gave to me.
Yeah, and you will, and you do. Like, you're such an inspiration. I find you inspirational anyway. You know, you just so much, everything I've ever like, and you know, we haven't had that many actual conversations, but just through what I know of you, through our networking and stuff, you're like, what a mighty woman.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear. So I'm going to take that compliment and I'm going to think about that one all day and push out any negatives.
You can bring that, you can milk that one for all it's worth. And it's heartfelt and sincere. I honestly believe that you are such a mighty woman.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
So I'd like to talk about what you do for fun, because we know that you love your sport and your creativity and everything. So is there something else that you do for fun that we don't know about you yet?
Oh, what do I do for fun? Oh, well, obviously, you know, I like seeing my friends and everything. I can't remember what I wrote. Did I write something on? I have to edit this thing out.
You'll have to ad lib.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna ad lib then. What do I do for fun? The main, do you know what? I probably end up. I actually find my job is my fun and enjoyment because of the creativity that's involved.
Yeah.
You know, I love kind of the learning side of things. So kind of learning how to say, I started learning After Effects so I could do all of the animations. And I guess, although that's kind of, you know, what I do as a job, I also, because being a creative, like if someone sets me a challenge, or, you know, I want to see how I can make stars go whiz around the screen or things twinkle. So yeah, I do that for fun as well. But I've got a beach hut that I love to go down and sit by the beach. Yeah, we're just along the coast down in Southbourne actually, and I love I used to love surfing actually until I haven't got the flexibility now, but we've got a paddleboard, so we just go out paddleboarding as well. and it kind of gives you that time to relax. We've got a gorgeous river that runs through Christchurch, and got an inflatable kayak.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a really cool inflatable dinghy day that they do, and you have thousands of people turning up with things like massive inflatable flamingos. And even people like on inflatable boxing ring that they've been punching each other as they go along. It's like a race all the way down. So I'd like to do random stuff like that, as well as take my the V-dub out. So when the camper van's not hired, we can go to the New Forest and just pull up somewhere and have a little picnic.
Nice.
So yeah, all sorts of random stuff. It's normally sports orientated, I think.
Outsidey world.
Yeah, and friends, obviously. I do like your glass, a few glasses of wine and watching boxing matches. I love watching boxing.
Which is one thing I've never watched, and you might inspire me to be able to enjoy it. I've never, I guess, understood the whole concept of it, and until I did sort of hear about, what strategy is really involved in it. But perhaps on another conversation, we can watch a boxing match together, and you can inspire me into what is so great about it. Because before I just thought, no, it's just people beating the shit out of each other.
I tell you what, I found it much more fun to do, right, rather than go to the gym, where you turn up, you do your class, you go home, and it's not very sociable. I mean, I love to talk. I'm a very sociable person, and I find people generally really interesting. So every time I went to the boxing classes or Muay Thai classes, you get paired up with people, so you're pad holding, and as you're doing things, you're kind of chatting and having a bit of a giggle at the same time. So I love having a laugh, and I meet the most crazy bonkers people that are fascinating. One of my friends, Laura, is great. She owns a beat street dancing club, so she teaches children to do sort of street dancing. So we're always between rounds, we were dancing to the music. I mean, it's just I think it's just much more sociable, really, doing stuff like that.
So is relaxation and fun different things for you, or are they one and the same?
I don't actually know what. I don't think I relax very often, if I'm honest. I think my relaxation would be me going for a run. And I've had people say to me, you never stop. So the times when I do stop, when I really, really relax, would be if the sun's out and I'm laying on a beach. And that is probably my only downtime, I'd say. Otherwise, if the sun's out, I'd be running, so I get a tan at the same time, but have a bit of downtime. And it's kind of almost meditating as well, because you're listening to the sound of your breath and the steps that you're taking. I've tried yoga, but I think where I'm I don't know, I'm such more a fast-paced type person. I'm struggling to come to terms with the concept of yoga, but I'm going to give it another go, because there is one on the beach where you can have a meditation session afterwards. And I think maybe I need that just a little bit.
Well, there's different kinds of yoga too. There's so many types. I did aerial yoga, which, you do in the hammock, and that's a lot more active, because there's also like they do an acrobatics type class in it as well. So I don't know if they have that, if there's an aerial yoga somewhere near you, but because it's in a sling and hanging from the ceiling, it's a lot more active than your basic downward dog and that kind of and hot yoga. I don't know if you've got Bikram yoga.
Yeah, we've got them just at the end of our road, actually. They do the aerial yoga as well as Bikram, so that's something I should really have a look at as well.
The Bikram is more fast-paced. Like, it's really regimented. You get in there and you move. You're doing all the poses, but it's quite fast-paced. So maybe that's something for you. Although it's inside, I don't think you're an inside girl.
Yeah, I mean, if I would definitely have a go at it. And then I mean, boxing's inside. It's just, I suppose, sometimes who you go with, and if you find friends there as well. It's I do like my little social scene as well. So
I enjoyed the Bikram yoga because for you over there where it's a lot colder, but here it was hot, and even in our summer, the couple of years that I did it, people going, oh my God, why would you go to hot yoga when it's already so hot? But they were the best summers for me, because doing a yoga session in I don't know, I think it was about 38 or 40 degree room. By the time you come out of there, you've sweat so much that the outside temperature seemed cool, so it made the summers more bearable. And the amount of did have a lot more sweating, because it opens your pores, like it cleanses all the muck out of your skin, and you do sweat a lot more freely. So if there was a downside, I guess it was that. But I really did enjoy the hot yoga, so you might like it.
I think actually that would make sense for me, because my brain feels like I'm not doing exercise unless I'm sweating and looking like bright red like a beetroot.
Yeah, well, you will when you're at Bikram.
Yeah, so I think whereas I come out of yoga feeling like I haven't really done that much, I feel like if I did Bikram, I know I'd be sweating, so therefore I have done loads.
Yes, I've worked out.
Yeah, I was physically sweating.
Yes. Yeah, well, hopefully you'll enjoy that. As we will have to wind up soon. I've had you here for ages. So as we just kind of go to the last question, we've talked a lot about how you've ended up where you are, like with your creativity and your 3 businesses, and like it's quite clear for me to see the trail of breadcrumbs that have led you to where you are. But if you look back over your life, do you see a different set of breadcrumbs? Like, how do you see that you got to where you are now?
I guess it's just having that mindset that you want to work, you want to do well, don't be lazy. I think that's the overall thing. Is I think my dad always probably is my biggest influence. We'd say he always thought he was lazy, but I thought he was the most proactive person ever. He'd be running marathons and playing county squash and doing all these different things, and also thinking about new careers. So I think I saw him as inspiration. So I would say probably that's been my biggest influence. And yeah, just telling myself off if I am being lazy in any way. I think just pushing myself forward, never stopping, and if you have an idea, run with it. I do remember someone saying about somebody else, they talk about it, they don't do it. And I thought, I never want someone to say that about me.
I don't think they ever will.
I like to prove people wrong, I guess, and I like to just kind of really go for it. And I've got my little ideas book, so I'll be working through the next thing. And I think life is exciting generally. I think if you get to the point where you're not enjoying life, or then do something different.
Yeah.
There have been times in my life where I've thought, I just, it's not going well. But I think you just change something and do something different, and then that brings back the excitement. So there's always a way to sort of keep yourself on the right path.
Yes. And so because there'll be people out there who will be just so inspired by you and honestly, if you need any graphic artwork, go see Lindsey. So where can people find you if they want to know more about your business, how you can help them, or maybe just connect with you and just connect?
Well, if you search up Stay Connected Digital Magazine.co.uk on the website, we've also got the app as well, so you can download that. You can have a look on spotgraphics.co.uk as well. That is my graphics website. So my email address is on there as well. It's lindsey@spotgraphics.co.uk. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. So yeah, come and search for me.
We'll put up all your details as well on the podcast so people can find you easily.
Lovely. Oh, well, thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Lindsey. It's such a pleasure to have a conversation with you as always. And you're just a complete inspiration. So well done. And thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
And thank you to everybody who's watching us today. It's always so hard to say goodbye. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated with our next podcast guests. And please leave us a comment below and let us know if what you found, if you found something valuable about our conversation today. Did it help you overcome an obstacle, or maybe inspire you to go out and do something new with your life? We would love to hear your comments. And until next time, that's all from us today. So bye for now.